Boxing Guru podcast. Again, it is me, Sal, Mr. Boxing Guru. It's a pleasure to talk to you guys once again. I didn't do last week's podcast because, life happens and, got to do other stuff, unfortunately. This week's podcast, today is Labor Day. You get caught up in doing other stuff, family stuff, but I still wanted to do another show because this is the time that I have to talk boxing. Social media and whatnot it's a great platform. But from what I'm able to see on social media, it's almost like everything is rehearsed. Not everything is edited. And this is why I like doing this podcast, because I get to talk to you guys from the bottom of my heart. I get to tell you what I think about a certain fight. I'm not going to edit anything. I'm just going to throw it out there. Whatever mistakes I make, whatever, oops, as I say, I'm going to throw them out there. But getting back to business, again, big shout out to Los Anaya. They provide the music week after week after week, and now they got a new song. Make sure you guys search for them, Los Anaya, on Spotify and YouTube, wherever good music is listened to. This week's episode is brought to you by War Media Center. If you guys haven't either downloaded the app that Eric Molinaro provides for you, or buying a box from War Media, make sure you guys do so. It's a great way to stream any of the big fights, whether the UK fights, and shout out to my buddy Cosme, Damien from Reno, that just mentioned that I don't talk enough about UK fights. But yeah, whether it's the UK fights, overseas fights, everything is there. Whether it's your Showtimes, HBOs, your pay-per-views, your for the basketball fans. For your football fans, football's coming up. Everything is there available for you to watch. So he gives it to you at a great price. Hit him up. Tell him, Mr. Boxing Guru sent you. Again, he is sponsoring this week's show. So let's get to it. Guys, again, every week I at least have some sort of agenda on what I'm going to talk about. This week, I sat down. I said, you know what? I want to do a podcast. It's in a way, it's my stress reliever. It's a way I get to actually communicate with fans, and this is real fans. This is fans that don't have to edit a response or have to, overthink something that they have to write. This is people that a lot of hardcore boxing fans that I know. So let's get to it right away. The first fight that comes about this week is, of course, Lomachenko. And I keep saying Lomachenko or Lomachenko. What is it? Lomachenko. Lomachenko actually defeats and beats his opponent this weekend. Campbell was a steady dude. Look, man, people knocked on Campbell, but the fact of the matter is Campbell was an Olympian too. And again, I'm not the biggest Loma fan here, and I never will claim to be, but you have to give the guy credit where he deserves. He's that guy coming up from 126, 130, now 135, if I'm not mistaken. I don't even know if he was lower. He might have been lower. Again, I don't know. But Loma's a little dude, man, sort of like Pacquiao was in a way. The difference is Pacquiao was just a strong monster that hit you from places that you had no idea, the punches were coming from. Loma is not that guy. Loma doesn't have that ridiculous speed like Pacquiao, but Loma does have those great angles. That's what he has. Again, I don't see as far as a special gift that he has. No, but he's just a tremendous fighter. He knows how to give you those awkward angles. He's a tremendously built fighter, and that we cannot take away from him. I know sometimes I've been hard on him because I'm like, oh, great, I don't want to see another 12-round decision. But look, man, he's obviously cleared the divisions, and the lower weights. Now he's doing this at 135, and not only did he do this at 135 pounds, but he did it versus an ex-Olympian. So how much are we gonna knock on this kid, man? We really can't continue to shit on Loma because he's doing everything in his grasp, everything he can do. And the thing is, in such little time, and yes, we could all say, well, he had an extensive amateur career. So did everybody that was an Olympian. That it doesn't matter. Well, it does matter to a certain extent, but we can't knock on him because of that. A guy is like, what, 14, 15 fights in, and he's in the prime of his career. Not only, again, and I'm not saying this because I get fighters that are 14 and 15 fights in, they should be at least getting ready to start fighting top 20, maybe even top 30 guys. But this guy is fighting the number one guys in the division and after division. And when that division was done, he's fighting some other guys in a different division. So what I'm saying is that we can't take, even if you don't think or if you don't enjoy watching Loma fight, you cannot knock or discredit what he's done in the sport. I think it's amazing. I think he's right now, if you were to tell me right now that Loma retires, I would say he's a first round ballot Hall of Famer. I think he deserves all the accolades in the world with under 15 fights. So what's next for Loma? I mean, shit. I mean, we don't know. There's so many fights out there for him. Of course, we all want to see him fight a guy like Mark Garcia. I think that is the biggest fight to make. There is the Teofimo Lopez fight. Again, great fight. Is it doable for him? Personally, just to save the future, I wouldn't want that fight because I personally think that Teofimo is miles away from fighting a guy like Loma. If anything, he should move up. Teofimo should move up and wait and be at sort of rebuild himself at 140 pounds. Comneys is a good fight for him. Fights like that, and then after that, I mean, he has to think about, you know what? Now I did everything. I became a unified champion in 100, and all these other weight classes. Now, what do? Now he goes for those comic book fights, those huge fights, those fights where you jump in weight, not to fight the champion or to fight the best, but to fight the best possible money making option. Yes, a fight with Pacquiao would be great and would do tons of money because people love seeing or watching the unknown. What is a bigger Pacquiao with a monster punch is going to do to the smaller Loma? Is it worth it for Loma to fight a guy like that? I think so. I mean, I think it's sort of like what Canelo's doing versus Kovalev. Is it a great move? Sure, why not? So that's that for that fight. The other fights that happened, we'll go a couple of weeks back because I haven't done a show in a while, so I think it's only fair to you guys. The other fight that happened this weekend was Erislandy Lara versus Alvarez. And no, not Canelo, but Canelo's bro. That brother that nobody likes. Everybody has that brother in the family. El hermano that it's just there collecting dust that doesn't do anything, but you give him a hand just because you want to be a good bro. That's Inocente Alvarez. That's the fighter that he is. And what happened? Now, Erislandy Lara could arguably say he beat two of the Alvarez bros. This was embarrassing, man. This kid Alvarez, he goes in there when he doesn't make the weight. He goes and just gets bitch slapped. Let's be honest. He gets bitch slapped by a couple of by Lara. Yeah, Lara is not your most entertaining fighter, but when you put him versus and I hate to call him that, but put him versus a punching bag there. What do you expect? I mean, the guy could have been at I don't know at 175 pounds. It wouldn't matter. At the end of the day, we shit on Lara. We give Lara a lot of shit. But the fact of the matter is that he's still a hell of a fighter. And to put him versus a guy like Alvarez, el hermano que nadie quiere, a brother nobody likes, it's kind of an embarrassment to boxing. Why do this? This is when people get hurt, unfortunately. This is, I mean, he had no business in there. If he couldn't make the 154 pounds, I believe. Sorry about that. I had to drink a little water. But if he couldn't make that 154 pounds and he's going in about, what, 4 or 5, maybe 6 pounds overweight, and you're still expecting him to fight, something isn't there. And to be fair, and again, this is what pisses me off about PBC. What did Canelo's retarded bro do to deserve a shot at a portion of the fictional belt that Lara was fighting for? He's maybe 1 or 2 fights away from fighting Brandon Rios. Brandon Rios was a career 135 pounder, a guy that made most of his great wins at 135 pounds, and he goes up in weight, and he's at the tail end of his career, and he ends up beating a guy like Alvarez. Again, a guy that's 135 pounds that went up in weight and fought a guy at 154 pounds and whooped his ass. And again, this is Brandon just being removed 2 fights of his retirement. What does that tell you about a supreme athlete? A supreme athlete has been fighting 154 pounds since the Olympics. What did people expect was going to happen? And this is the main event. This is. I mean, where was this fight, on Fox? I mean, this is PBC playing with Fox's money. I get, when you're developing fighters, you're giving them easier tests. Again, you're developing a fighter. A guy like Lara does not need to develop. A guy like Lara needs to fight the best possible fighters at 154. PBC owns the welterweight and super welterweight division. Why not give him somebody with a pulse, for God's sakes? But you know what? In fights like this, there's always an underlying hero. There's always that one guy that says... There's always a backstory for a big fight like this. So, and the champion of this, or the hero of the weekend was willing to fight, was my buddy Francisco Chia Santana from Santa Barbara. So when the Alvarez bro didn't make the weight, or wasn't getting there to the weigh-in, what they did, the PBC folks, they called Chia Santana. Chia Santana was, he has 9 to 5, so he's a regular guy. But at the same time, he's always training. But they called him to say, you know what? This Canelo little bro might not fight Erislandy Lara. He hasn't showed up to the weigh-in, and when he eventually showed up, again, of course, we heard about the weight problem. So they called Chia Santana, which from at least from what I was able to talk to him, he said, he was in the middle of painting a sidewalk somewhere in Santa Barbara, and he gets a call and say, you know what, come in, go cut weight and get your ass to Minnesota. What does Chia do? Without hesitation, look, he gets to fight for a title. What's a guy like Chia gonna do? He's gonna go, jump in the sauna suit, start, moving around, and tries to cut the weight. I don't know if you guys ever seen anybody cut weight, but this is some of them. This is one of the shits in boxing that I hate watching a fighter go through. So Chia goes and says, you know what, fuck it, let me just ask for a couple of hours off and a couple of days off. That way I don't show up to work tomorrow, and I'll go. He went and jumped in the sauna suit, went to the gym, started cutting weight. Cut weight. He got rid of the weight. Again, this kid's always ready, and he goes and gets in a flight. Catches a red eye to Minnesota. Hops in his plane about 1 a.m. and gets there early in the morning on fight night, and he's ready to go. So up until this point, they still haven't told this kid Chia Santana. They still haven't said, you know what? We still don't know if Alvarez is going to fight. We won't know till 5 o'clock in the afternoon. So what does Chia do? He goes, suits up, he gets his, he already had his outfit because one of his fights got canceled not long ago. Gets ready, goes, warms up, And again, he still doesn't know if he's going to fight or not. But again, he goes, suits up, gets ready, warms up. Next thing you know, Alvarez actually takes the fight. My thing is that it takes a special individual, a kid like Chia Santana, that all he wants to, he wants a crack at the title. That's all he wants. I mean, that'll be his ultimate dream come true. And it's those type of individuals that keep me from not watching boxing. I enjoy it. I enjoy the underdog story. I enjoy talking to folks like Chia Santana, and to him, all the credit in the world. That was the real story of the weekend. That's the guy you want to root for. I really hope Chia Santana gets to fight for a world title. Not only fight for a world title, I think he deserves to get a crack at a title, and hopefully in the very soon future, whether it's at 147 or 154, even at 160, I really hope he gets a shot and he wins the belt. So he deserves it. Guys like that deserve it. And again, and the thing is with fighters like Chia Santana, it's not like they haven't, he hasn't fought anybody. I think, there's certain fighters that a promotional company grabs and puts in hard from the very beginning. And this kid Chia, he's been getting. It's funny because he's been getting put hard. I mean, from the very beginning. I mean, this guy, I think he was like 10 fights in. He had already fought Julian Williams, and of course, Julian Williams, a PBC guy. After the Julian Williams fight, I believe it was like 11, 12 fight, he fought one of the Charlo bros. I mean, so this isn't a guy that has been spoon-fed. This is a guy that's almost been brought in to lose, but his will to win is amazing. I mean, again, I just, logged into BoxRec. Eddie Gomez. Actually, I was at Eddie Gomez, at the fight versus Eddie Gomez. He actually won that fight. He almost beat Saddam Ali. He fought Jose Benavidez Jr. as well. Again, he's a guy that comes to win, and for him to, I don't know, to me, it's mind-boggling for him to just say, yeah, sure, why not? I'll go ahead and take the fight. Let me go ahead and suit up, and I'll take it. That's an impressive human being. To you, Chia, mi respetos, respect you to death, and hopefully you get that belt one day. Other than that, I think that was it. Oh, one thing before I forget. Last week, we actually saw Estrada. Estrada was, the Estrada fight was a very, very entertaining fight. The reason why I'm bringing it up is because it was a fight that I didn't get to talk about last week. Because again, I didn't do the podcast. But in my opinion, he has to be the top Mexican fighter that there actually is. The way he fights, the way he counterpunches, the way he just sets everything up. He's a very special individual. I think, in my opinion, Mexico should take a bit more notes when it comes to this, because I think he's a very special athlete. Again, no one's fighting top opposition the way he is, and even in his last fight, the kid that he was fighting wasn't the biggest threat in the world. But the fact of the matter is the way he dealt with it, the way he controlled the fight, the way he just went about himself. I think Gallito is if he's not in your top pound for pound list, he should be. Again, personally, my favorite Mexican fighter that's out there right now is Gallito. Other than that, what do we have? Oh, we saw the Povetkin fight versus Fury. That's one of those fights that I would rather somebody come in and just yank the eyeballs out of my eyes. That was just horrible fight. We saw Edwards retain his title in a freakish way. He fought the Mexican guy that Eddie has, and it was just, this kid cannot blame anybody but himself. And by this kid is Julio Cesar Martinez. He legit beat Charlie Edwards. Charlie Edwards, again, is a solid fighter, but that day he was already a beaten man. Now, the Julio Cesar Martinez deserves to win? Absolutely not. Absolutely not. A shot to the body of an opponent that's already in the ground, that's already been in the ground for at least 2-3 seconds. You fucking lost your own fight, bro. What happened? How are you going to punch a guy when he's already got... You've been whooping this fucking guy's ass for the better part of the fight. You drop the guy, and then you, to add insult to injury, you cheap shotting him once he's in the ground. It wasn't worth it. Julio Cesar Martinez did this shit to himself. He deserves a rematch, yes, but I really hope he understands that he lost the belt because he was being a dumbass. Not because Charlie Edwards was better than him, because obviously Charlie wasn't. But he fucked this up on himself. Other than that, that was it for the weekend. Just on a couple of news and notes, I did see that Danny Roman just injured his shoulder. That's a big loss because we were just starting to work with him with Adidas Boxing. So that hurts. I really hope that Danny Roman's shoulder gets a lot better. That way the fight can be rescheduled. Now the fight, I think the main event to that is what's this kid with the big mouth? What the hell is this kid? David Haney. That's the main event of it. So that's that, I guess. I do see on ESPN more Fury talk. Of course, they've been milking the fucking Fury train for a long time, and yeah, that's it. The World Boxing Super Series is back. I see. Good, because I'm really looking forward to Prograis actually fighting. Big fan of the rigmarole. I can't wait to this. Well, I'm not gonna say that he beats Taylor, but the fact of the matter is that's what it looks like it's gonna happen. If it doesn't, then bring on Taylor for Ramirez. 140 is a hot division. Guys that are bursting at the seams that are eventually gonna go to 147. So I really can't wait for it. Other than that, I always I try, and this I'm telling you because I try, because I'm always doing 100 things. And I need to be a bit more organized when it comes to these things. But I try putting out, questions. I want to answer folks' questions to the best of my ability, not because I'm a know-it-all, but because I think there's some substance to my opinion, and of course, if there's no substance to it, I expect you guys to correct it. But let me go to the Ask Guru section of this. So again, like I said earlier on Instagram, and my Instagram is at Mr. Boxing Guru. I posted a question. I try to post every time I'm going to do a podcast. I say, any questions, go ahead and ask for it, regardless of what it is. If it's boxing, your personal life, I will answer it to the best of my guru ways. Oh shit! First things first. Lando asks. Okay, this is an actual legit question. Who should Lomachenko fight next, and who would be a bigger draw for a pay-per-view? Lando, to answer your question, and I think I've told you this many times, we're in an era where we shouldn't follow a boxer, but we should follow more than anything boxing fights. I think Loma is again, as legit as a fighter as can be. Again, he's one of those per generation fighters. You had the past generation, had the Sugar Rays, then they morphed into the Floyds, and to the later part, the Pacquiaos, and I think a guy like Loma and maybe even Usyk is these generations special fighters. So I think even then, I think there's enough fighters for Loma to play with. As far as to make a huge pay-per-view fight, I think there's two opponents right now that I think could make a great pay-per-view fight with him. Right now, a fight, if possible, with a guy like Mikey Garcia. Now, Mikey Garcia is a free agent. I know Mikey Garcia talks a lot, and he promises this, but he's going to fight here, or he gives this other promoter an opportunity. But I think a guy like Loma versus a guy like Garcia, I think it's so intriguing that it's great. We've seen Garcia talk himself into a welterweight fight, a fight that he didn't belong to. He didn't belong, or a weight where he didn't belong. But somehow, some way, he made us doubt our common sense, and you know what? It worked for him. I mean, I kicked myself in the ass afterwards because I mean, like, common sense said Mikey Garcia wasn't going to be able to do shit versus a guy like Spence. But the fact of the matter is that Mikey talked himself into a make a fight at the welterweight division. Why not do this again? I think there's so much unknown there that I think a guy like Loma that's so superior that's gradually hasn't been killing his opponents versus a guy that we all know is the king of fundamentals, which is Mikey Garcia. He doesn't do nothing spectacular, but he does everything right. He's not super fast. He is really strong, but he doesn't display it in his fight because he doesn't do anything stupid. I think that's the biggest fight that could happen for a guy like Loma, like I mentioned before. Again, in a super fight where you really think, like, who the fuck is really going to win? Or why is this guy going to do this? A fight like with Pacquiao, I think it's one of those fights where you bring in past generations great and where he's still doing good. Like, because let's be honest, you know, Pacquiao did great versus Thurman. So a fighter like that, that just came out of a fight with Thurman, to fight with a guy like Loma, I think it does ridiculous numbers. And look, man, we all know Pacquiao's been in his share of mega fights. Him versus Floyd, I mean, was a fight that was dreadful, but somehow, you know, he moves the needle. So why can't he move the needle versus a guy like Loma? That's another guy. And I think a guy that's being groomed to possibly make a good, solid pay-per-view fight, again, is Teofimo Lopez. Teofimo Lopez within the next year, I think if they scale him back and give him opponents that he could beat like his other opponents, a fight with Loma is the right fight for him. So hopefully this answers your question, Lando. I'm sure it'll come with some critique, but we'll see what happens. I'm getting all the trolls today. Al Chile actually brings up. He says, "Bring up the paper belt that Lara won." Look, man, and I think we talked about this earlier. I've never been a big fan of belts. I get it. There should be some crowning, some kind of a first place trophy thrown out there like that. But again, the belt that Lara got, I mean, it's really ridiculous. Let's see. This guy named Heg2R20 says, "Who is JoJo fighting on September 21st? The date has been announced on Instagram, and why hasn't it been announced yet? You think he would cancel the date and fight Tevin Farmer fight in November? He's claiming okay." So the main thing he's asking is who's JoJo fighting? Is he fighting in September, or is he going to cancel the date to fight in November versus Tevin Farmer? Look, guys, personally, I don't like this fucking fight. I think the style that JoJo brings, it's not going to mesh well with the style that Tevin Farmer brings. I've been a big believer in JoJo versus Cancio too. Why not? I think that's a fight that's very intriguing to me. Will it happen? Look, they're under the same promotional umbrella. Why not? Is the JoJo fight, and the only benefit of the JoJo fight is that if JoJo has enough to beat a guy like Farmer at his own game, because their styles are a lot alike. They're great counterpunchers. I hope they come out and give us a great fight. The benefit for JoJo at this point, getting that fight, is for him to take that belt from Farmer and to be able to then fight in a unification fight versus a guy like Cancio, because Cancio has some mandatories to take care of as well. And then maybe why not go across the pond and fight a guy like Jamel Herring? Again, the sky's the limit for these guys, so why not? Damien asks, about Chisora. Again, Damien, I told you already, I don't care about UK boxing. It's a good thing, but I just don't pay that much attention to it. Let's see. What else? Juice for Nayarit. Like this guy. Good guy. Says, topic. No more boxing on Showtime. Look, man. Showtime Boxing died with HBO Boxing. That's the day Showtime Boxing died for premium network TV. Showtime went out. When was the last time you saw a good fight on Showtime? Unfortunately, HBO went out not with a bang when they actually did their last HBO Boxing fight, but they actually went out with a Clarissa Shields fight. What did Showtime just do? They posted another Clarissa Shields fight. Again, there's absolutely nothing wrong with women boxing. On the contrary, I want to see women boxing do great. I want to see them do good. I also want to see them knock each other out, just like men boxing. But there's nothing out there that screams, that tells me, you know what? This is boxing. This is what I want. Absolutely nothing. So as far as Showtime boxing is dead, bro. If you really need to watch it, if the reason why you have Showtime is because of boxing, just cancel it, man. Somebody's gonna stream the fight. If not, hit him a do War Media, man. He got you. Let's see who else. Man Milk 1039. How much does it cost to make one of those? I don't know. Let's see. And he also asked, will you go to Spence Porter? No. I don't think the fight is going to be as entertaining as most folks are thinking. And I think the boxing fan, I think PBC sometimes relies on the Southern California boxing fan to move tickets. But the fact of the matter is that the Southern California boxing fan is not stupid. They know the type of fight that you're going to get with Spence and Porter. They know, Porter's going to come in and try to maul Spence. So it's going to be a three-man fight. It's going to be Spence, Porter, and whoever they pick as a referee. Because it's going to be constantly having to move them around, having them reset, and that's it. Till of course, Spence catches Porter and puts him out. But that's it. It's not an interesting fight. I get it. That you get the unified champion, but I kind of rather wait for the results. Cubano Alex asks, quiero saber por qué el Canelo o De La Hoya se están haciendo pendejos. They said no good opponents to fight. Charlo and Andrade were available with good records. They're not good enough, but Khan was same level as Jacobs. And why they blaming each other and the IBF who dropped the ball? Cubano, and big shout out to Cubano, good member of the Calexico community. I know he frequents Joel Diaz's boxing gym there. So in Indio, California. So big shout out to my man Cubano, and he's not Cubano, so I don't know why he has that name. I think he told me before, but I was probably drunk and forgot. There are good opponents. There's obviously good opponents, but the thing is, at least in my opinion, there's blame to cast all around. When a company like The Zone says you could only pick a certain fighter, it's either GGG, and Canelo has said multiple times, Nor Golovkin, so it's either GGG or Deverenchenko. So now, where does this put Deverenchenko? He's an automatic A-side because now he could dictate as much money as he wants. Why? Because he knows that The Zone is only giving that ultimatum. He knows that he is the only fighter that he could pick. So now he could price himself out of the fight. He priced himself out of the fight to the point where they have no choice but to fight him. So we could easily sit here and point our fingers and say, you know what, it was De La Hoya, but The Zone, by opening their mouth and releasing it, leaking it, because I think they did this themselves. They leak information themselves. That way they think they could put pressure on Canelo, but the fact of the matter is they lost a September date. They lost it to a little kid that I don't even want to fucking talk about the September 14th because it's a fucking clusterfuck. I'm kind of pissed that I'm not gonna go see Munguia just because they're filling it up with fucking 12 teams in the co-main event. But again, that's a whole new podcast. But again, as far as dropping the ball with the IBF too, look, the IBF got what they wanted. I think they ended up. Canelo will eventually get that belt back, or at least he'll fight for it again, because Deverenchenko's fighting Golovkin. At least that created a championship fight. Golovkin fights Deverenchenko. The winner eventually fights Canelo, and we move forward from this. As far as Boo Boo Andre fighting Boo Boo Andre, look, man, you're as big a boxing fan as I am. Boo Boo is the reincarnation of Erislandy Lara. Are you really eager to watch a guy like Erislandy Lara or watch Erislandy Lara Canelo 2? I don't think so. You might say you do, but deep down, I know you, bro. You're a good guy. You don't want to watch this shit. I know you're not going to admit it, but you don't want to watch this shit. It doesn't matter. The unification. If a guy like Boo Boo's getting in the way of a unification fight, keep your fucking belt, Boo Boo. Go fight Boo Boo fighters. It's really not worth the squeeze. I think we had one more question, at least something valid that's not from Siggy Vargas, whoever the hell this guy is. Let's see. I see. Where is it? I could have sworn I had seen it. Something about, I don't know what it was. But again, I don't know. I can't find it. But guys, I think that's it. I ranted enough. Again, actually, you know what? One more thing. You know what? That's the thing we're not doing. Not doing a schedule. Let's look what's in the schedule for this week. I think we got fights on September 5 from LA here. I believe it's somewhere here in LA. I think it's Velasco, if I'm not mistaken. We got Hassat Hovasinovan, something like that, versus Franklin Manzanilla. Again, that's on September. That's on ringtv.com. Again, that's Golden Boy showcasing their local talent, like Herbert Acevedo and Edwin Valentin and all these new guys that I have no idea who they are from Golden Boy. Of course, we got the David Haney fight on the main event on Friday the 13th. Friday the 13th. That's September the 13th, but that's some way away. As far as this week, it's a very slow week. That's it for this week. Again, guys, thank you so much. This is the first time I do a show without writing anything down. I just turn on my computer and, kind of eyeballed it. If you guys didn't like it, let me know, please, because your feedback means a lot. Remember, you can listen to this wherever podcasts are listened to, and that's places like Spotify, Spreaker.com, iTunes, Google, whatever podcast. YouTube, again, make sure you guys listen to. There's not a lot of movement there. iHeartRadio, we're there too. So, the podcast is out there. It's on you guys to listen. You guys that have been listening to me, please, thank you so much. I really appreciate it. Keep listening. From the bottom of my heart, love you. Dicen que lo fusilaron, otros que se fueron.